We have now come to the last portion of our time together in this program on the essentials of leadership and organizational health. And this is, in my opinion, the most important section we will cover. To state clearly, all of the work we have developed to this point, all of the principles of leadership we have discussed, and all of the disciplines of organizational health we have covered has been brought together in this program for the express purpose of helping leaders and organizations become more healthy and effective so that together we can create a better world. While we have discussed the fundamental principles and essentials of the behavioral science of leadership and the group psychologies of organizational health, those disciplines alone are insufficient if we do not have a moral imperative that informs our work. You already know the countless examples of people who deploy these very same principles for nefarious and destructive means. And it could be fairly argued that dictators, authoritarians, and corrupt corporate executives are really good leaders who have a clear mission and vision, who build really effective teams, and who get great results. Evaluated simply on their ability to deploy these techniques, we could give these leaders high marks because the disciplines of leadership are universally true and universally applicable. However, it is the quality of the moral imperative that distinguishes whether or not that leadership yields a better world or a worse world. And it is my conviction that leveraging our work to make the world a better place is the right thing to do. And so, regardless of whether or not you consider yourself a spiritual or religious person, you must have a moral imperative, the most important characteristic of good leadership that should pervade your very being, and thus everything you ever do. It is my conviction that a moral imperative leads us to create a kind of world in which every human thrives, every person belongs and is respected, where beautiful creativity inspires and moves us, and each generation has the liberty to discover these virtues afresh and anew. A moral imperative leads us to universal human rights of freedom and dignity, and to universal responsibilities to care for one another, to steward well our planet and ecologies, and to sustain our world for the generations to come. A moral imperative relishes the present joys and preserves future possibilities. A moral imperative is the ultimate universal mission to which every single person on the face of the planet is called. This moral imperative is not something you achieve, it is something you believe in. It is something to which you commit. This moral imperative grounds your personhood and connects you to a purpose that is larger than yourself, a dynamic and awe-inspiring sense of transcendence. Perhaps most importantly, this moral imperative inspires us beyond our own perceptions of our abilities and capabilities. This moral imperative compels us to believe that we truly can transform this world and cause a metamorphosis that brings the highest sense of human flourishing possible. This kind of moral imperative understands that life is a gift, and to experience the fullness of this life means to engage in work that is infused with the most powerful of purposes of caring for our fellow human beings, valuing our mutual connectedness, and believing that together we can overcome the chaos and depravities that come our way. This, my friends, is leadership at its best. This is what organizations are for. This is why we discipline ourselves. This is what makes the hard work worth it. I commend to you this moral imperative. Discipline yourself into becoming the very best leader you can be so that you and your organization can help create a better world. And the most powerful way to shape that world is to tell better stories than your competitors or critics.